One of the hottest topics in agriculture over the last 3 or 4 years has been cover crops. We're finding more and more farmers wanting to use cover crops, so today we'll talk a little about your options.
All right, let's just say you're dismissing cover crops right off the bat. You say, they're gonna suck up all the moisture in my field, and you know what? They're gonna eat up all the fertilizer in my field too, and now I'm gonna be worse off next year. How do you respond to that?
Well, neither one of those is true, depending on the crop and depending on what you use that cover crop for. So there's a commonly used term, especially in the southern United States, it's called green manure. So people will use cover crops, then they'll plow it under or they'll kill it off. And the whole point is, what they're trying to do is take nutrients out of the soil and get them into a form that's maybe a little bit more readily available for a future crop. Because sometimes with these cover crops, we can have really deep roots on one crop, and because it's a little different type of crop, maybe it can extract nutrients that my corn or soybeans or wheat wouldn't normally be able to get. In terms of moisture, yeah, every crop's a little bit different. I mean, you'll see that when we come to our Weed of the Week. That's certainly different than most crops, but the point is, if you pick the right cover crops, depending on your goals, you've got to look at what are my goals here with the cover crop. There's a mixture out there that you can find for just about any need. We'll get into some of these benefits of cover crops in just a second, but before we do, understand there's a downside too. So I'll just tell you my favorite cover crop story from a couple of years ago. I got asked to speak at this event in central Iowa, and I just told them before I showed up, hey, I'm going to speak to college FFA students. I want to do it in a field. So all I need is a cornfield and a soybean field. Do that. Okay. So they said, no problem. You know, no big deal. I show up. They had no field for me. And I go, what do you mean no field? I mean, you're in central Iowa. It's all corn and soybeans here. So I said, just give me a pickup. I'll go find a field. And within 2 or 3 miles, I found a farm wife. And so I just pulled over and asked her, hey, can we use this field real quick? And she said, oh yeah, no problem. No big deal. And she said, now Brian, I got a question for you, agronomy question. Why did my corn turn purple this year? And I said, well, tell me what happened last year. And she said, well, last year's the first year ever we couldn't raise a crop. So our agronomist told us, use a cover crop. And I said, hey, that's a great idea. So what did you use for a cover crop? She said radishes. And I go, well, what else do you use for cover crop? She said, that's it, just radishes. And right away I go, oh, I know what your problem is. Here's what happened to you. Radishes don't support mycorrhiza fungi growth. Because of the lack of mycorrhiza fungi on your farm right now or in this field, your corn turned purple because mycorrhiza fungi is what helps bring phosphorus, solubilize it, and bring it into the plant. Without that mycorrhiza fungi, it looks like you don't have phosphorus in the field. I'll bet you got all kinds of phosphorus in the field. You just don't have enough fungi.
So that's why we want a blend of different crops in the mix when we're doing a cover crop. So for example, if instead of just radishes, we would have put in some kind of grass crop or another crop that would support these mycorrhiza
along
fungi.
with it as a blend.
Now we've got the benefit that radish was providing, which is a deep root that can hopefully break up some compaction and provide some cover out on the ground to protect the soil. But now we've also got that grass out there that could help with the mycorrhizae fungi, so next year's crop could really thrive.
So what we usually do in our operation after wheat is we're going with a blend of soybeans, either turnips or radishes, along with something like wheat or oats. We just suggest you look at all the different advantages and see which cover crops fit to each one of those advantages that you really want in your operation. If you're looking for more information on cover crops, we suggest you go to the agphd.com website. Under the resources tab for agronomy resources, you'll find cover crops and their uses, and you can look at all these different benefits, whether it's for grazing, it's salinity tolerance, you name it, and then it lists which the best crops are for that particular need.
And one of the big benefits of having a cover crop in your field is crop canopy helps protect against weeds that may be coming up later. One of the toughest weeds to control in our country is our Weed of the Week. We'll show you how to stop it coming up next.